Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner that has a product, service, or message that you truly believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind the scenes look at real world networking and marketing tactics while leveraging LinkedIn to get what you have in front of many more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and let's get started. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Networking and Marketing Made Simple. Super excited for today's episode. Obviously, I got another interview coming at you guys, and just want to say thank you so much for the continued support of this podcast. Really excited for this interview. It's actually a returning guest. I had this individual on the podcast probably about 3 years ago when I was only about a year and a half into the podcast, and I'm just looking forward to catching up, hearing what's new. And for all those that are in the real estate world, this is an episode that you do not want to turn off. You definitely want to tune in. So with that, Maria Quattrone, welcome to today's episode.
Scott, thank you so much for bringing me back, for the opportunity to chat with you and your listeners today.
Absolutely. So before we get into everything that has to do with what you're working on now in the real estate world and everything that I see you doing and populating up on social, I always like to rewind the tape before we kind of move into the present time. So if you can rewind your entrepreneurial journey in real estate to a particular point and press stop, where you feel this was kind of that catalytic moment or that moment where the light bulb turned on, where you're like, this is what I want to do. This is that path that I want to go down. What was that moment for you?
Oh, I would say that was in 2005. It was probably at that point in the industry actually, it was in 2004. I was in the industry for maybe 6 months, 8 months. And I said, it didn't feel like work. So when something doesn't feel like work, it's a pretty good sign that you have a passion for it. So I knew then and there that I wanted to pursue a career. And that's just about 20 years ago.
Amazing. So in that aha moment and everything that you've been learning since in the last 19 years, post that big light bulb moment, what do you feel was one of the biggest lessons that you learned that has helped you every single year, including this year and everything that you're working on moving forward?
Work works. You do the work and eventually it works. And a lot of people look at most industries for some type of shortcut. There really are no shortcuts. The only way to climb that ladder is one step at a time and just focusing on getting a little bit better each and every day and utilizing the value of the compound effect. And one day at a time, just keep working on winning the day.
Yeah, you can shorten the learning curve by, working with coaches, mentors, programs, masterminds. That, people have asked Nancy and myself, how have we been able to continue to transcend and move forward and, grow each and every year? It's because we're willing to bet on ourselves and we're willing to invest in the expertise of others to help teach us something that we don't know or want to get better at. And I think that's the big thing in any industry, whether it's real estate, coaching, consulting, whatever it is. When you think you know everything, you know nothing. And life and business are constant changes and evolutions as far as what does work and what doesn't work, and staying up to date on all the trends, all of the industry changes, really positions you as an expert in the space that you're in. So in looking back at all of the mentors or coaches or even advice that you have gotten over the years, what is one piece of advice from someone that you were very close with in your real estate journey What's a piece of advice that is still stuck with you today?
Enjoy the journey. So often we want to get to where we're going and we forget that this is just a journey, and to stop and smell the roses and to live your life each day and know that there is no final destination until there's a final destination. And enjoying each day and giving it your best and not focusing on the outcome, but focusing on the process.
Yeah, each day is a new opportunity to progress and move forward. And when you can, I would say, break away from any preconceived expectation or certain outcome, then you never feel like you're failing. Everything is a learning lesson, everything is a progression forward. Nancy and I were just talking earlier about um, people have to move away from just consumption of education and information and move into application. So it's healthy to read books, it's healthy to listen to podcasts, but don't just consume, apply. It's just like any other industry. If you're going to learn about industry rates and refinancing trends and all of those things, don't just consume it, apply it, be that industry expert.
Execution is critical.
Absolutely. So obviously, post pre and post pandemic in the real estate world, there's been a lot of changes. You know, um, Nancy and I ended up buying our house 2 weeks before the initial lockdown. This was February of 2020, and we're about, over 4 years in, just
Good
about in our
timing.
good timing. We were able to refinance actually 6 months later to a ridiculous interest rate. But obviously, it was the Wild West for a good amount of time. Talk to the audience because, I do have this is an entrepreneur based podcast. So there are a lot of real estate investors, people in residential and commercial real estate teams that listen to this. Talk about what that whole transition was like for you, pre-pandemic 2019, and how the pandemic really changed the landscape of real estate from where it was then to where it is now.
Prior to the pandemic, everybody was looking forward to great 2020, a lot of great energy. Little did we know that we would be going into lockdown, and in Pennsylvania, we had 10 weeks where real estate was not considered um, essential. So we were unable to actually leave our houses to go and sell and show real estate. So we had to pivot. That's when I started the Be the Solution podcast. And little did we know that the market, as soon as the industry opened up, when the world kind of opened up a little bit, that there would be people wanting to buy and sell real estate for their home. They recognized my house is too small. I don't like it. I want to get a bigger house where there's land, I can spread out. So I actually predicted this, that a lot of people would be moving from the cities to the suburbs, from the suburbs to the more rural areas, and that's exactly what happened over the last several years. And the government keeping the interest rates low caused prices to increase dramatically, as you're aware, Scott, having refinanced your property. And now people like you have rates well under 5%, some 3% and under. And therefore, that is causing today homeowners not wanting to sell their properties, their first time buyer property, that generally now they would sell and be a move up buyer. So that was increasing pressure on first time home buyer properties and still creating demand for that inventory, uh, regardless of the interest rate.
So you're a mentor to a lot of people in real estate. You've had a foothold in the Philadelphia real estate market for well over a decade at this point, going on two. What advice are you giving to the newer real estate professionals that are coming into the game post-pandemic when it seemed like after the pandemic, people, I mean, literally the bidding wars were out of control because we ended up selling a property that we owned during the pandemic. Everybody was getting ridiculous over asking prices, even in the neighborhood that we live in right now. Since we moved in, six, and we live in two adjoining cul-de-sacs. Um, Six of the 12 homes have sold since the pandemic and all got ridiculous over asking price points. And it's different for the seasoned real estate professional that's been in the weeds. They were maybe a part of the real estate crash in 2005, 2006, 2008, all, the ups and downs, and obviously everything now. What advice are you now giving to that newer real estate professional that maybe got into real estate during this whole real estate craze 2020 and beyond? And what advice are you giving them as far as how they can continue to prosper, grow, and succeed in this profession?
Really need to do the work, understand the inventory, understand the market that you're in, go to conferences, surround yourself with people who know this industry. There's only 1 in 14 real estate agents, brokers that are in the business today or in the business in 2008 or before. So that's just a little bit over 7%. There's not a ton of us out here that have been through trying and challenging times, which is what we're in today. It's very different than 2008, but it's similar in the sense that you really need to be educated. You need to understand the market. You need to understand, real estate is about people and talking to people and treating people like human beings and caring for them and being a servant leader. It is more than just about, it's nothing, actually nothing to do with opening door. It has nothing to do with all of the things that people think it is. It has everything to do with leading with the heart and being honest, full of integrity, transparent, and learning. You have to learn this industry. What happened, a lot of people, it's just, deals were like flying in the air. You were just grabbing them and catching them, and it's not the same. You really have to work and you have to talk to a lot of people. And if you, real estate's math. So if you talk to enough people, eventually somebody will raise their hand and say, I want your help. I want your assistance. But when they do that, you have to be ready and show them that you care and show them that you know what you're talking about. Or bring in, your team leader or somebody who can work with you on that transaction for the buyer or the seller. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. Unfortunately, people that just entered the industry in the last several years haven't experienced a more difficult time. So they really don't know what it is and what it's like and the expectation. And it is going to be harder for them because they don't know. But there's business out there, and if you keep going and keep working hard and surround yourself with the right group of individuals, you can still succeed.
No, I completely agree. And something like the pandemic that obviously happened nearly 4 years ago now, whether it's that or something to the real estate market, whether it's the banks, whether it's the government, there's always going to be external sources that create resistance around business and the flow of money. And it's about how you progress through that, how you learn from it, and it affects all industries. And to think that nothing is going to happen ever again, you'd probably be fooling yourself because there'll be something else. There's always going to, life is like a roller coaster, just like entrepreneurship. There's ups and downs, there's twists and turns, things go forward, things go backwards. but it's about how you dust yourself off and keep going. And for me personally, I don't ever want something too easy, because when something is too easy and you're not challenged, you're not really building that business armor. Because the more challenges that you face, the more obstacles that you end up overcoming, the better of a professional you are. Because people, just like you said, real estate, coaching, consulting, they're all person to person type businesses. It's about human connection, it's about relationships. And people want to work with, professionals. They want to work with people that have been able to overcome those adversities. And I think that's the beautiful thing about life, is that there's a solution to every problem. And, your podcast is called Be the Solution. And we all have to be the solution, because sometimes it's not an external solution to that problem. We're the problem and the solution. So are you willing to get out of your own way to progress forward the way that you would like? So,
We are the
obvi-
problem and we are the solution. Indeed.
yeah. And we have a choice of which one we want to be. Do you want to be the problem, or do you want to be the solution?
So I did a video the other day and I said, do you want a comfy life or do you want one of struggle and adversity? Most people would choose a comfy life, but those that know a life of adversity and struggle is where you grow, is where you can change, is where how you become resilient. It's in the suffering and struggling is where the greatest lessons are found.
Les Brown talks about it. He said once that those that choose the easy life now will live a hard life later, and those that choose the hard life now will live an easy and peaceful life later. So choose the hard now so you can live easy later. And that's the thing, that whole easy button, it doesn't exist. Every single human beings are just amazing creatures, because we can be and become whatever we want. I mean, think about it. If you want to get into real estate, you can get licensed to be a real estate agent. You can become a firefighter. You can go to the police academy and become in law enforcement. We can be whatever we want. It's just about deciding what it is that you want to be and how you want to progress forward. And again, understanding that no matter what is circling around us, external solutions or external problems, we always have to continue moving forward, whether it's a millimeter or a mile. As long as you're walking forward, you're going to get to the destinations that you want to be. And I think that's the beauty of the progression of life, is people don't realize how much can change in 30 days, 60 days, 12 months. People think about a year and they're like, man, that's a long time. It is a blip in our life. And if you want to even break it down further, Nancy said to me that she read somewhere about how many weekends the average person ends up getting. And if you think about that, there's one weekend, there's 4 weekends a month, there's 48 weekends per year. And if you compound that, however the average lifespan of a human being, whether it's 75, 76 years old, you can figure out how many estimated weekends you have left. And I think when we realize that, life is short, it's meant to be lived now, it's go time. And I think that's the one thing. People are waiting for this perfect moment. They're waiting for the right time to go all in on their goals and their visions and all the things that they want to achieve. But one of the scariest places to be is from a year from now, the same place that you're in today. And if you don't want to progress forward, and again, it's, we talk about the blame game. Listen, there are a lot of circumstances going on right now in the real estate world. You can blame the banks, you can blame the interest rates, you can blame everything, right? We can easily point the finger. But are you willing to be the solution to the problem that's going on there? There are still houses being sold each and every day. But are you going to be playing in the pool of those people? Or are you going to be playing in the pool of people that are complaining and whining and crying about this, that, or the other? Again, we have a choice. We can be the problem, or we can be the solution. So, Maria, what's your advice to that person that they know they're playing in the wrong pool right now? They may have that victim mentality because it's tough out there in real estate for some people. What's the best piece of advice you can give that person listening to this podcast about some things that they can do to shift their perspective in the real estate world and the real estate market to go from being the problem to then being the solution?
I always say, get some perspective. You're in real estate. You're not digging ditches, pouring concrete, washing dishes in a restaurant in Israel or Gaza or Ukraine or Russia. You're here in the great land of the USA, home of the free and the brave. And you have an opportunity that most don't have. You see people walking across the border. Be grateful and thankful for the opportunity that you have to grow through this. And self-awareness is everything. And if you're not where you want to be, and I say this to myself all the time, so it's not any advice I'm not giving. I already talked about this actually 3 times today, and it's only midday. If you're not where you want to be, you got to look in the mirror hard and just say, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? What are my non-negotiables? And get up every day and be grateful for the opportunity that you have to help families and serve them, buying and selling and investing in real estate. There's not many places that you can go and have this kind of opportunity. So be thankful and grateful.
Love that. Great advice. And I could have not said it better myself. So, Maria, before I get to my final question, for the people listening to this podcast or watching this video on YouTube, what's the best way to have people connect with you on social or find out about more about the work that you do and how they can be connected to and with you?
Sure. Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook Messenger, Facebook, Instagram. You just Google me. You can send me a direct message, Maria Quattrone, and I'm happy to talk. And whatever that is about, whether it's buying, selling, investing in real estate, or joining our organization as a team member. We have a good group of people here. Yeah, exciting times ahead.
Awesome. Well, all that information to anyone that is watching or listening will be in the description of this episode, so you're not going to have to go too far. Now, Maria, final question before we sign off. What does success truly mean to you?
Success. Living your life, loving your life, enjoying your life, choosing happiness, regardless of whatever's going on around you, and being the best that you absolutely can be, using the gifts that God gave you and improving on a daily basis to get better, be a better human, a better friend, a better mother, daughter, sister, business owner. We can do that and just get a little bit better every day. That's it.
Love it. Well, I just want to wish you and Chip a very happy, healthy new year, continued success in everything that you're doing, and grateful to have you back on the podcast today after a number of years that have gone by, and just appreciate all your words of wisdom and everything that you shared with my audience today.
Thank you so much, Scott. Happy New Year to you and Nancy as well.
Thank you so much.
To be part of your community today.
Well, very grateful for that. And as always, again, anyone that's looking to connect with Maria, all of her contact info will be in the description of this episode. So please do reach out to her. And as always, please continue to support the podcast. Let us know what you loved. Reply to the email that you got announcing this episode, or comment back, subscribe, leave a rating and review. Let us know what you would love to hear more of or what other guests you would like us to have. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days, and I'll talk to you next time. Thank you so much for checking out today's episode. If you could, please support this podcast by hopping over to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or any place that you're listening to this, leave us a rating and review. Let us know what you loved most and what you would like to hear more of. But also, if you would like to learn how to take your business to the next level, whether it's using LinkedIn or working directly with myself and Nancy in our intimate group coaching programs, you can head over to www.thetimetogrow.com or scottaaron.net to learn more. Thank you again for your support, love, and gratitude, and I'll talk to you soon.